Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated. I hope you have your shields. I hope you have your swords. Or even just a shtick that you can wallop a man across the head with, because we are going on a raid to announce the arrival on the scene of Cormac mac Cuilleann as King of Munster. We don't have a lot of options in Ireland at the moment. There is a single church that we forgot when we were up here last time. So what we're going to do is we're going to raise our army here, and we're going to send them into Leinster. There are two churches which we can raid down. We'll probably bring them back, and then we are going to go on a little excursion. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I'm going to make some final changes to the council. So in the last episode, I installed Chieftain Moyle Martin as our spymaster. I was given out about Eóganacht. His father fired him because he only had 9 stewardship and replaced him with Conall. Conall has 12, Eóganacht now has 12, and Eóganacht is angry. He's a powerful vassal. So poor old Conall, after all the service that he was giving, well, he shouted, he gave out to Donegal. So I don't know, maybe he deserves it. And Crundmoyle also wants a position, but he's not great at anything. So Eóganacht is going to become the new steward. And that's most of our vassals kept happy. Like I said, Crundmoyle still doesn't have a position, and their younger brother, who rules in our holdings in Wales, he's too young to demand anything at the moment. And as you can see, Crundmoyle isn't exactly the happiest with us. He's going down the temptation focus. Crundmoyle, you devil. He is minus 40 because he wants a seat in the council, minus 20 because of the short reign. So what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and begin to sway him. So we will start that scheme. And I think also, now that we are the King of Munster, we need to behave. We need to lead by example. And we're going to come to the sister, actually, of the two guys that we were just looking at. So there is Crundmoyle. Is she a full sister or a half sister? Full sister, it looks like. So she's apparently our lover. She's ill at the moment. And we will ask her to repent, to seek forgiveness from God. And that will cure her of her illness. So we are going to break up with our lover. And just before we begin our assault into Leinster, we have a bit of stress. So again, we will ask God for forgiveness. We will donate to charity. All the hard-earned money that we made. Yeah, we made this money. So we're going to give a donation. God is generous. We lose 26 stress. And now we'll just go and find some way of making that 50 gold back. Just after we finished raising our forces, we saw an army of Northumbrias arrive in Leinster. They have joined the battle lines, from what I can understand. Yeah, there they are. So they have about 1,000 troops. And this alliance, which is attacking for control of Leinster, now has 1993 troops against the 1,709, even though here's their allies with 1,751. But these guys are sieging down Kildare. I think they're going to finish that siege, and I'd imagine that they would come down and attack them. What I'm worried about is if we begin sieging Leinster, will we turn hostile to these guys? Let's see. Here is the army. We have set them to raiding, and it only makes sense that for the first engagement, we would put them under the control of the Bishop King of Munster, and we will march them for Ferns, and we'll see what scenario we're going to create once we come in here. I'd be hoping that we'd be able to siege the area down fast enough and get out. A faction has been created against us. So some of the troops up here have become hostile to us. 101 of the troops have become hostile to us. Now, Eóganacht, after we gave him a position on our council, has created a faction to install himself on the throne of Munster. So, like I said, this is why we need to show our authority. Get the siege done, and get back into Munster quickly, before those guys in Kildare think about doing anything. So there it is, a quick, rapid raid by the new King of Munster. It is quite successful. He's bought back a small bit of gold. What I'm probably going to do is stand down that army now, because as you can see, the rest of the country is in flames, all except for this one church, way, way, way up the top. Are we seeing some of the regions here are getting loot back? Not a tremendous amount, not a tremendous amount. I think we will leave Dunpodrig. That is later anglicised as Downpatrick, and that is where St. Patrick is believed to be buried. So somebody like Cormac MacQuillenon, I don't think he would go attacking a place like that on his first raid. The other thing we can do is take a look at this faction that has been created against us, Eóganacht and his brother Crundmoil. So Eóganacht in Tuavuan, Crundmoil in Desvuan. They don't have the power to take me on just yet. If we suffer substantial losses, that could change, however. So we're going to have to be wary of this. Of course, we're attempting to increase our relations with Crundmoil at the moment, to sway him, to bring him around to accepting our rule. I've stood down the army, and before I do anything else with it, we're going to use the fact that we have a new ruler in power to hire some new knights. So it looks like we'll be pushing poor Conall out of the list, and Foilón. If we get some new knights. We only hired Foilón. But Cathlan, the poor man, after all the dedicated service he has given to us, he's shoving up in years, and I think it is impacting his prowess. It is a small bit. Maybe we might leave it a while. Maybe we might leave it a while and see if I can get any extra knight slots to open up. I would like to replace Conall and Cathlan. Do you know what? We can invite them, and sure, they can sit there and wait, if nothing else. Now look at this for a pop-up. Nuala, the daughter of the previous ruler, Donncha MacDovdalberin, has just had a son with our bishop, Gurrit. Donncha appointed Gurrit, or he captured him, I should say, in battle and forced him into the army to make up for his wounding of one of our great knights. And now that he has redeemed himself, Cormac has appointed him as the Bishop of Munster. I was wondering what it was like. Donncha, do you know what? That's a good name. She's naming the child after her father. May you grow to be strong and wise. I was wondering what it was like for Gurrit to be on the council with Moyle Martin. So it was Moyle Martin's father that Gurrit had wounded that effectively led to his death. But I think we've convinced Moyle Martin that that Gurrit has repented and is fit to serve. And you'll see that when we got that pop-up, I am back in Wales. We have risen the army. I'm going to split them up into at least 3, if not 4 groups. There are a couple of areas here that we can raid. What I'll do very quickly is just set them to raiding. The way we can see, there's a couple of areas here, some of the harder to get to areas where we tend to suffer large penalties if we try and go in there. So I'm gonna raid down a bit. I think this is one of the regions I'm going for. It is indeed. I don't think there's... we might make it over there. But most of the regions directly around us, these regions we couldn't make it into the last time. And if I could hit them this time, it would open up Mercia. I think we should be able to pick off a few places, as long as we don't suffer any massive attrition penalties. So I'm going to split up the armies, and we're going to see what directions we can go in. So I don't really know what we can do here. I am moving a grand total of 117 troops into this region, and we will lose 100 of them due to attrition. So there is no number, pretty much, that I can move in there that will not give us some type of an attrition penalty. So can they go anywhere? Not really. Yeah, I don't know what to say. We can go in this direction and take penalties then. Yeah, it's just going to be penalties left, right, and center. I think we'll just we'll have to put the armies back together, split them in half, and just take some penalties. And yeah, that's going to restrict where we can and can't attack. You can see like the supply limit 117 out of 2,900. But yeah, maybe there's something else affecting it. So I've split the armies in half. I'm sending them in 2 different areas. I'd say we'll probably just siege down these regions and then return home. We've just lost 200 soldiers for nothing. Both of these areas are in a bit of a war at the moment, even though one of them has just ended, but I don't think they'll be able to respond to us. And we've finished our siege here. I don't think I'll be able to move these guys. Well, I will, but they might take a penalty coming back. Do you know what? It's grand. It's grand. We'll be fine. And we get a pop-up that our neighbour has driven out the Viking forces in Leinster, and Meath has now taken Leinster. We have a major power assembling on our border, one that no doubt will be seeking to re-establish its position as the preeminent power on the island. From where we are, can we go anywhere else? We can, but we will lose a lot of troops. We bought back 26 and 36, so more than enough to cover the money that we donated to charity. I think it's fair to say, in our first adventure, in our first outing as the new King of Munster, we have managed to enforce our authority onto the areas surrounding our Welsh holdings. We have let them know that we have no intention of giving it up, even though it is currently in the hands of a 15-year-old who's probably going to want a position on our council. It's looking like he might put together some good martial stats. He's been trained by Casper, actually. Yeah, he might actually put together some good martial stats and replace Casper on the council, which would be quite ironic. But I think we've done enough for our first siege, or our first raid. And Cormac surely will take this opportunity to prepare a pilgrimage, to give thanks to God and to indeed ask for advice on how he should rule. His predecessor, Donica, went to Ordvaca. We could go to Iona, which is currently under Viking control. I think we'll go to Lindisfarne. Lindisfarne is... whereabouts are we? I think it's actually up in Northumbria. He doesn't tell me. There we go. Just up there in the corner of Northumbria. So Lindisfarne was established by Irish monks from Iona, and surely Cormac would be looking to travel there to see whether any aspects of Insular Christianity still remain there. We can see that it is also under Viking control. It's going to cost us 100, so it's a pricey one. But you know what? Cormac's worth it. As I prepare for my journey, I know that I will travel safely under the protection of God. While I go to the Lord, my realm must wait, however long I may be gone. It is time to depart. So this new political scenario is quite interesting. Meath is now in a position to put together 1,300 troops on its own, ever so slightly less than we can, but it also has 900 in allies, which we don't have. So we can't be too flahuluk with our money, because we're going to possibly need that for mercenaries. Out here, late at night, I sometimes look to the stars. Don't stop it. No. Donica was doing this as well. Oh, don't tell me that... You see, he's getting curious now. Now that he's king, it's like, what was Donica looking at? Can God even see me this far from home? What am I doing all this for? What I truly want is to see foreign lands. It will give us minus 26 stress, so that would pretty much wipe out all the stress that we have. It would give him +2 diplomacy. I think that would help us with trying to sway over some of our vassals. Look at that. Look at that for learning. Our other options are a dedicated pilgrim, so we gain monthly piety plus 10%, or theoretical pilgrim, which he won't be going for. The diplomacy would be nice, but I have a couple of different goals for Cormac. I definitely want to get him up to religious icon, so we do need to pile on the piety. We're well short of paragon of virtue at the moment, and then religious icon is above that. So let's see just how holy we can make Cormac. God would wish me to, of course. Pilgrimage, the arrival. They wouldn't let him in with his sword. They made him leave it outside. I am finally here, body and soul, at the great abbey of Lindisfarne. As the abbot offers me blessings, I reflect on everything that had to happen for God to bring me here at this moment in time. I have walked the holy path. So that gives him a good chunk of piety. There's still a good chunk missing for the next level of devotion. There is a good chunk missing for the next level of devotion. My journey has been a long one, but I have finally come home again. He's happy out with himself. He got to see Lindisfarne. They gave him back his sword. It's good to be home. The new king of Munster makes yet another change to his council. Here is Eóganacht Mac Condlagon. So his father, I think, is actually one of the most famous knights in the kingdom. He has a number of important kills to his name. So we're going to organize this marriage to a French Catholic. She has very high diplomacy. So we're going to send that proposal. And as you can see, I already have the window up and ready. There is Eóg. And I am going to replace Cathlón, who is an 11, with Eóg. He doesn't even have a sheet of paper for his first day at school. And I am going to change him to domestic affairs. So hopefully that will increase our standing with our vassals, some of whom are currently plotting against us. And Crundmoil has been swayed. Our efforts will continue, but he likes us a bit more at the very least. So hopefully we can stave off an attempted rebellion and retain power. Already things are going poorly. Diarmid, the son of Diarmid, who died, another great knight of ours, died of the bubonic plague in 899. His young son Diarmid, he's just 15, has gotten a visit from Eóg, who's only about a year older than him. So I imagine they're both immature. There was bound to be some hostility between them. The way he imposes himself on my home, all the while encouraging no less than grovelling servitude to you, disgusts me. Eóg, what have you done? So we're going to lose. We lose a good chunk of opinion with Diarmid for a while. We've been getting some knights appearing in court, some potential champions, over the last while, and I haven't been paying any attention to them, because like I said, we were going to let them wait there until they were actually needed. There was a pop-up there a couple of seconds ago for a rather interesting looking individual. Gila Mokutu, I think is how you pronounce the second part of the name. There's a couple of different spellings of it. It could be Gialla, but it's Gila, and you'll see actually that it shares part of its name with Argwilla. And there's a couple of people with names like this in the game. You'll see the Gila Forig. I'm not actually too sure. The Gila Forig are the most famous, but in this context it means servant. Argwilla possibly means those who give hostages or the hostage givers, and it's a name in reference to the hostages that they would have given to the northern Inail. Now, in names like this, it's generally followed by a saint's name. So this is Saint Mahutu. So it's not a hostage of that saint, it's a servant or an adherent. But look at him. He's got his headband. Again, are they bones? Like Thunika's wife Maria, who I installed as our physician. Again, she's still our physician. Are they bones or are they something else? And look at this. Where's he after coming from? So he is a rather interesting looking compassionate gentleman. An aggressive attacker. So we're going to recruit him to court and we are going to put him into the army. We're going to make sure that he is eligible for battle. Where has he got to? There he is, and he has pushed out Cahlon. So here's another Mahoon and another Donica. So we'll go looking at these guys later on, but it's just that. I mean, look at him. That was a man I wanted in my armies. The 1st of January 907, we are going to organise a feast to increase the opinion of our vassals. We lose some stress, which is quite helpful as well, so we're going to send out the invitations. But the main concern that we have is keeping the vassals in line. The guests are gathered in the Great Hall, lords and ladies from the near and far reaches of the realm. It's going to be interesting to see who actually organises this this feast, because he's unmarried. The stew see in a drunken stumble, Chieftain Moel Martin. We can't let this man into any more feasts. He unlatched an enormous cauldron hanging over the fireplace in the middle of the feasting hall. Savoury broth welled forth to cover half the room in a sea of stew. The unsuspecting Chieftain Loinchuk, he must be, is he barely even 16? He was seated next to the cauldron, was caught by the rushing wave, and loudly cursed his ruined appearance as grease ran down his face. Guests rushed to the other side of the hall as the thick mass spread greasy tendrils among skipping feet. Chieftain Edon stood catatonic in the middle of it all, shocked and horrified at the decadent waste. Well, Martin, the last time that we had a feast under Donica, well, Martin threw up on him. And now he's after coating the entire place in stew. He coated the last chieftain in stew. Now he's coated the entire hall in stew. What's he trying to do? What's he trying to do? Curse this mess. We spent 150 prestige. And we have a snake at court. I'm heading to my chambers to enjoy some blessed sleep when I hear a faint rustle from a window. Just the wind, I think, until the wind starts to speak. Joskala, open up, my beloved. It is I, Crundmoil. I push the shutters open, and lo and behold, a man has climbed up to Joskala's window. It is my vassal, Chieftain Crundmoil. Chieftain Crundmoil, how could you, with Failcoo's wife? By the Satan, have you no shame? So characters close to her, who dislike adultery will lose 30 opinion with Chieftain Crundmoil. Lads, it's been some party. So ends another feast. All my guests go home satisfied, while I remain proud of my display of generosity. That said, Chieftain Martin might carry more shame than satisfaction after overturning the cauldron. Cleaning up will not be cheap. Every time this man comes to a party, he is just... he's a devil. That's what he is. So we lose 15 gold and every guest gains 20 opinion. Well, at least there's that. It was looking like the rest of 907 was going to be a quiet year, but we have unlocked our first learning lifestyle perk. And when I say it's our first learning lifestyle perk, I of course mean it is the first that we have gotten since we've actually taken control of Cormac. No point in even thinking about it, we are going for Embrace Celibacy. Now, where are we going to go from here? We could go for... not much of a point of increasing fertility. We could get Know Thyself, so we would know a year in advance of Cormac's death when he is going to die. The other thing that we could do is start to push down. I said I wasn't going to. We're never going to get to the end of this. And is there anything that actually gives us... we'd need to get down to here. That's about 12 years. 8 years. To get to profit. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do anything down around here. When I get the opportunity, I might very well switch medicine focus to theology focus for that extra piety. But now, straight away, what I'm going to do, I think it's actually over here, we are going to take the Embrace Celibacy trait. It will give us +1 piety per month. Clergy opinion goes up. An opinion of revelers goes down. And seducer characters, oh no. Cormac has sworn himself to be celibate. A new life begins today. Now this is a rather interesting pop-up. Greetings, my benign liege. I have come to discover a most appalling truth about Chieftain Diarmid. Though I loathe to bring this matter to your attention, I must inform you that this man is keeping secrets of the most alarming kind from you. So this is Eóganacht, who is leading a faction to install himself on the Munster throne, and he is backed by his brother, Crundmoil, and by Chieftain Diarmid, who he is now ratting out to us. Now Diarmid despises us. He wants a seat in the council. He's just come of age. He wants a seat on the council. The short reign penalty has dropped to from 20 to 15. I think we're craven, so there's a -5, and he's ambitious, so there's a -15. This man despises us. There's also an incompetent chancellor. Yeah, there's a lot of those. And I don't think you'd make matters much better. Our main knight at the moment, or our main marshal, Casper, is a 20. I think there's a good chance that we're actually going to have to replace Casper with this guy. If we look at Crundmoil, we don't have a position for him either. So yeah, I actually think we're going to have to put Diarmid in as our marshal to appease him. But first of all, we're going to thank... Now, of course, this is going to create a lot of trouble. We are going to thank Eóganacht for the... Your concern is deeply appreciated. I wonder, is Eóganacht, I won't say regretting his actions, but is he trying to pull out of this faction? He's now turning on members of the faction. I think he's beginning to accept our rule. And of course, if we can increase our opinion with him, Chieftain Eóganacht will reveal Diarmid's secret to me. We could use that against Diarmid as well. The other option is to get 30 opinion with Diarmid and lose 10 opinion with Eóganacht. I think we're gonna see what this secret is. we have learned of an attempted murder secret. Historically, how dynasty would have worked is basically as a form of elective seniority. So you have a ruler, and the ruler has 2 children. On the ruler's death, his eldest son inherits, because he's the next most senior member of the family. This new ruler has 2 children, 2 sons, and on his death, his brother is the next most senior member of the family, and is the person with the strongest claim, effectively, to rule. However, the way around this is that during his lifetime, the ruler would begin preparing one of his sons to succeed him. And we see this with Brian Brew, in the video that I did on Brian Brew and the Battle of Clontarf. Towards the end of Brian's life, he was giving ever more power over to his son Mordcha. Mordcha controlled the armies, led the army at the Battle of Clontarf, and this is because Brian was indicating him as his preferred successor. Now, of course, if a ruler died young, or died before they could prepare any of their children to succeed them, or died when their children were too young to succeed them, then power generally went to the next eldest brother. And that's kind of what happened in this case. Here we have Diarmid, who we installed as the ruler of Ossory, and on his death, his son was far too young to succeed. The next most senior member of the family was actually Diarmid's elder brother. But what happened instead is, because of course the game uses confederate partition, it went to his son Diarmid, Diarmid's son Diarmid. So I imagine what's happening here is that Diarmid has inherited, and he knows that his uncle has a stronger claim. Look at that, he even has a claim right there. He knows that his uncle is the next most senior member of the family, he has a stronger claim, and he has attempted to murder him. And this would have been quite common. When people would inherit, there would be quite often a spate not alone of murders, but of blindings, people being taken prisoner and blinded to prevent them from challenging for the rule. So that's exactly what Diarmid has attempted to do here. He has attempted to murder his uncle to prevent him from pushing his claim on Ossory. What we're now going to do is we're going to blackmail Diarmid. We're going to tell him we know that you are weak, we know that you worry for your position. Stop it. Stop being bold. And we will leave you in power. Or else we will replace you with one of your uncles. Quilda is interesting, but he has a daughter. The chiefess. I didn't spot this. The chiefess, who is married to Diarmid. So Diarmid has married his cousin and is trying to murder his father-in-law. I think we'll steer clear of that entire side of the family. Cealach is a much more preferable figure, and I think this is who we will support. If the two of them don't see eye to eye, this is who we're going to support and install as the ruler of Ossory. So we're going to blackmail him for attempted murder, and I'm hoping that pushes him out of the attempts to install Eóganacht on the throne of Munster. So we gain a hook on Diarmid. He absolutely despises us now, and at the same time the faction targeting us has been disbanded. We might not be the greatest military ruler that the kingdom has ever seen, but god damn it, do we know our way around diplomacy and hooks. Now that we have some level of stability at home, we have broken up that faction, we have isolated Diarmid, who is causing a tremendous amount of trouble, we've risen the army again, and as you can see, outside of our own borders, much of Le Moga, well, all of Le Moga, that's Le Moga, historically this would have been Le Moga, but it would have been a bit further south. Much of the southern half of the country is on fire. All of it is. Actually, there's no targets. There's 2 gold there. There's 2 gold. That's not much good to us. There's 19 in Meath. What we're going to do anyway is we're going to head up for Breffni, and we're going to head in this region. We are going to visit Dunfodrig. I don't think we can cross across. I think we'll get penalties if we cross in this direction, and we don't want to allow ourselves to be weakened too much, which might allow Meath to come in and attack us. So I don't think we're going to siege them down. We're going to raise our army, and we're going to head for Breffni. So I actually pulled the army back into Munster, split it in half. One section under the control of Caspar is heading for Breffni. And another section under Chieftain Leinshuk of our Welsh holdings is going to head for Armagh. It's going to pass through Meath as a warning. He's not a powerful vassal, so he's not demanding a position on the council, but he should be. Look at these for martial stats. His father would be, well, would his father be proud? Probably not, because his father would probably rather high learning. But of the 3 brothers that inherited, he has the best stats, and he has the best sense, because he's not threatening us. Now, we've committed to going in, but we can see that Argyll is actually taking its army across into Scotland. I'm not too sure what they're doing. It looks like they're in a war. What we might do is actually park ourselves here just for a second, just to allow them to get far enough away, or to allow the siege of Breffni to advance enough that that we can pull somebody in some direction if needed. The siege of Breffni proceeds and has completed. We even took somebody hostage. We're going to see. Maybe we'll complete the siege of Argyll. We'll get that over and done with. We took Ababa hostage at Drumahare. And what we'll do is we'll move up into Tyrconnell. And we will send Leinshuk's army up to attack the very northern tip of the island, which we missed the last time. The poor Baba. Nobody wants the poor Baba. So her liege won't give me anything for her. We could execute the Baba. That seems a bit much. Yeah, it's just... I don't think... Have we any dread to lose? We do. We actually have 10 dread to lose. Do you know what? We'll gain a weak hook on the Baba. There you go. That Baba is now a secret agent. Me, the woman. She is now a secret agent of Munster, ready to strike, ready to be activated. I wonder what's the activation code for a Baba. That is really impressive. Greetings, High Chieftain Cormac of Munster. I have no choice but to accept your conditions for my release. Signed, a 2-year-old child. Fair play. That is immaculate handwriting for a child. Well, good luck. We don't have a lot of major targets to hit. I think actually here is one of the largest. So that siege looks to be progressing. We will get these guys to move in here. Should somebody come against us, they will provide a bulwark against Leinshuk's army. I might just wait until that siege begins. It'd be handy to have like the siege at half, or the raid at half capacity before starting another one. I'm learning that once a siege begins, you can't move from there. I'm learning. You see? Look at this. So what we're going to do, we're in a position to do so now. We will move these guys back in. If we're in a position to do so. I think we are. We should have probably let them attack us. A couple of things have happened. Fortified tribal hold has been constructed. Fantastic. I have Caspar improving the skills of my marshals. So he has improved Johan. I'll just cancel that. And what I actually want to do, very quickly, before this battle begins, is I'm going to stop our scheme to sway Crundmoyle. And I think... Who are we going to get? Do you know what? For now, I'll just do that. We'll get this battle sorted. No point trying to appease somebody in the middle of a battle. We've a couple of things. Just as the battle begins. Who could it be? Moel Martin. Oh God, Moel Martin's my spymaster. My spymaster has come to me with grave news. While we do not yet know who, someone is plotting to kill me. I forgot that Moel Martin is my spymaster. Moel Martin, can you stay sober long enough to figure out who it is? Can you? We must stop the villain behind this. While that battle is progressing, we will very quickly look at the intrigue. 5%. We've seen these things. We've seen these things get out of hand before. The one good thing is, we know for a fact that none of my wives are involved. Kettle has gotten a kill for himself. I think this is his first major battle. I think it's the first major battle for a lot of these knights, these new knights who have been added over the last while. Kettle has come out on top as the highest kill getter. Casper's still up there. Failku. Gilla Mokutu. There is Kettle killed the High Chieftain of Connaught. Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't realise who it was. This is the husband. Oh my God, we've actually broken that alliance. So, of course, he was married to the Chiefess of Connaught, and he inherited some land on his father's death. I didn't realise who it was. So we've actually caused, in that battle, we have caused massive political ramifications. Who else was involved? Foilon, Johan Connell is falling down the kill list. He's not too happy now since we sacked him as our steward. But there you go. I didn't fully realise who it was. God, you'll pay for that. You should have just left us have the money. I was going to see if there was anything that we could do, if there was a better spymaster that we could put in place instead of Moel Martin, but look at that, at 21. You really can't complain too much about that. Who hates me? Who hates me enough to kill me? Who hates me enough to try and kill me? Do we really even need to guess? Do we really even need to guess? Do we really even need to guess? What I want to do, what I think I will do is sway Eóganacht. I was going to start swaying Moel Martin, but I mean, he's already at an 86. Moel Martin, if you can figure out Moel Martin, who's trying to kill me, if you can figure that out, Moel Martin, I will give you some gold. So you started sieging down Antrim and the lands of the Dalfiatach. Their owners are gathering their troops, and they're looking across at us, but they're not in a position to do anything at the moment. Now, I want to see if I try to send my army across, we won't suffer any penalties. Look at the world that this opens up to us. Look at the world that this opens up to us. We're going to wait for that other siege to finish. That's the first thing. Or the other raid. We have taken somebody captive, and we also get a visit to Chieftain Eóganacht's castle in Limnach. Do you know what? Let's stay for a while. Let's sure. Let's stay for a while. You can see on the right-hand side that we have ransomed one of our two prisoners. We actually had two. Cahlon is a nephew of Chieftain Comasach, and we have just ransomed back the chieftains, or we're ransoming back now his daughter Bevan. You might remember Comasach. Well, you mightn't, but you might remember his wife, Beotigifa, as I'm calling her. How did she die again? She was executed on High Chieftain Donnacha MacDuv Berin of Munster's orders on the 27th of September, 883. So we have now begun venerating her as a saint. It actually skipped my attention, or I missed it. We're now into 909. September 908 is the anniversary of Cormac mac Cuileán's death at the Battle of Ballachmoon, so he is now a year into the future. He has lived a year in this timeline. He has lived a year beyond what he was actually meant to have lived historically. At Eóganacht's castle, we find a number of messy rooms. I think the easiest thing that we can do is use our scholar trait to clear up all the books. And with our forces getting ready to cross into northern Scotland for the first time. We have never crossed this channel before. Generally because it's been too expensive in terms of attrition and manpower losses. So as we come in against these guys, their army numbers are down a bit. I don't think they're going to be able to recover. We might very well siege this area. I don't know if we'd want to attack them. And I don't know how far into this region we're going to go. We definitely want to impose our authority on them. But if we can make it across, if we can take these guys on, this opens up this entire region to us for raiding. So we're going to see how that goes in the next episode. The Bishop King of Munster, Cormac mac Cuileán, approaches his 60th year. I think he's been almost 5 years in power in Munster. He has stabilised the province against external threats and internal threats. However, there is a plot to kill him. And we have no clue, absolutely no idea whatsoever, as to who could be behind that. But hopefully, if Moel Martin can stop drinking for 5 minutes, he will figure out who that is in the next episode. We can't have any more feasts for a while because Moel Martin will he'll just cover the place in stew and he won't actually do any detective work. Cormac is about to lead armies into Scotland for the first time. And I'm very excited about that. I'm actually very excited about opening up this entire region to raids. The other thing is that we have completed some construction works in Urvuin a while back. I don't think we have anything that we can construct for a while. And it's very likely that we won't actually manage to research anything during the tenure of Cormac mac Cuileán. I think we're about 6 years away from the next piece of research, but already it has been a fantastic career and a fantastic achievement for the King of Munster. As always, thank you very much for joining me on this episode. Thank you for assisting me on the raids. I hope you all got back safe and sound with a bit of money in your pockets. As always, like, comment, subscribe, do all those good things to feed the algorithm, and I'll talk to you on the next episode.